Towards the end of the 2010s, discussion arose over a potential further stretch to the A350 program, dubbed to be unofficially the A350-2000. However, in 2022, talk on the -2000 has gone quiet. So join us as we explore the A350 variant that seemingly never was. Or was it? Welcome to GlobeTrotting. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel as we continue to grow. Now, the A350-2000, or simply the A350 Stretch, is already immediately an aircraft that sounds futuristic in a sense, but a name that also has a bit of a unique ring to it. Before we really get underway, let's head back many years to get to the beginning of the A350 Stretch's story. In fact, towards the midway point of the 2010s, when reports emerged from Leeham News and Analysis, among others, noting that Airbus was exploring a stretch version of the A350-1000. This is when discussions first appeared over a potential stretch to the 350, pointed out as an aircraft that could fit over 400 passengers in a two-class layout and would essentially be known as the Super Stretch A350. A plane that had been cited as one to replace the A380 and be the answer to more efficient flying, but still with the added capacity. Concerns arose over the market that would require such an aircraft, with the 777-9 progressing well at the same time. The question remained over whether Airbus could slot into this part of the industry with an alternative. While the aircraft was affectionately known as the A350-2000, many other names were unofficially thrown around, such as the A350-1000 Stretch, the A350-1100, and even the A350-1000LR. But Airbus was known to stick very strictly with the A350 Stretch as a name for the type, an extension on the length of the A350-1000 by a total of around about 4 meters, and various adjustments inside the cabin would have allowed for such a variant to come to fruition. Through lots of studying of the already existing A350s, Airbus was able to take its time and develop critical ideas for the Stretch, which would mean not a whole lot of work would have to be poured into making the design a reality, with significant changes in the form of wings, engines, and so forth not needed to make the plane work. Skeptics were present throughout the talk of the Stretch, even actually from executives at Airbus, who were not fully confident in the program and whether it would attract enough interest to be turned into a reality. There was apparent talk from customers that they were interested, but we don't recall specific names being mentioned. The overall interest, I guess you could say, never fabricated from these customers into anything significant, and as the years progressed, talk of an A350 Stretch was put on the back burner, and was no longer really of heightened importance when we would bring up the European aircraft manufacturer. Nevertheless, by the late 2010s, many questions did persist. However, speaking directly to Executive Traveller, the Airbus CEO in 2019 confirmed on the sidelines of the annual Airbus Innovation Days that they didn't see a high enough market demand for the 500-passenger plane anymore, and therefore a creation of an A350 Stretch was no longer a priority. Interestingly enough, these comments from the CEO came only a handful of months after Airbus announced that production for the A380 would cease. But overall, the comments really indicate to us that they were just happy with the A350s currently at their disposal. What's happened since then? Well, not a lot surrounding an A350 Stretch. There are still many arguments why a Stretch would and wouldn't be a good idea, and while some customers look for larger aircraft like Emirates, an A350 Stretch wouldn't be the ideal aircraft for choice for the same reasons why an airline may reject the 787-10 or didn't favour it as the best alternative to their difficulties. What also has to be mentioned is that the industry trends have changed drastically, not just from the mid-2010s, but also since the pandemic. Airlines want different ideas and aircraft than they did 9 years ago, and the overall response to larger airliners has generally been overwhelmingly negative, especially when exploring their success away from significant Middle Eastern carriers of Qatar Airways, Etihad and Emirates, who largely account for a sizable amount of orders for the likes of the A350 at Airbus and the upcoming 777X series with Boeing. Never say never though, the industry is constantly changing and technology is always advancing, as engine manufacturers work on more efficient and powerful engines set to roll out and be readily available towards the back end of this decade. And as more replacements are required for the 777-300ER and eventually the A380s are retired, the market for larger aircraft could, without a shadow of a doubt, re-emerge into the scene. For now, though, off the back of a pandemic and the average age of a number of the larger aircraft, which in retrospect are not very old, the need for such a plane may not be as prominent as it could be at another point in this decade or the ones to come. What are your thoughts on Airbus's potential stretch? Do you believe they made the right decision in not moving forward with it? Or do you think in 2022 some airlines could benefit from a stretched version of the A350 that is even larger than the Dash 1000? Let us know below in the comments. Subscribe to GlobeTrotting if you are new, and don't forget to leave a like on the video to show your support. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.